Today I'm going to take you through everything you need to know when visiting Rome, like the best time to visit, how to skip long lines, and what to do when you only have a few days here. And to kick things off, we're going to head to one of the most famous sites on the planet, Rome's Colosseum.
The Colosseum is the largest amphitheater ever built. The Flavian dynasty built it in 80 AD from stone and concrete. Today, it's in ruins from neglect and an earthquake in 1349.
So some tips on how to skip long lines. They have skip the line tickets on getyourguide.com, but also you can get the Rome City Pass where you can get a pass to skip a lot of the lines for the attractions and multiple entries to multiple locations around Rome. They're both pretty expensive options, but if you're standing in the really hot sun and you want to skip the line, they're kind of a nice option. Now, we actually got a private guide for the Rome Colosseum, Palatine Hill, and Roman Forum to take us around, and that's another way to skip the line is if you get a private tour or you go on a guided tour, and we booked this one through Get Your Guide as well. Getting a private guide is the way to ask a bunch of questions and just get that like private experience, which me and Lucas live for. So definitely had to do that here in Rome.
Events at the Colosseum were free to attend. They'd host gladiator fights, where people fought each other to the death, animals fighting each other, public executions, theater performances, and public speeches.
After standing in front of the Colosseum for 5 minutes, you'll notice there's lots of scams. There's people who are saying, "Do you need help finding your tour?" And that's a scam. Or someone will say, "Hello, hello," until you look at them in the eyes and they try to wave to you to come to them. There are people that force bracelets on your wrist, or they throw it at you for you to catch and then like make you pay for it. It's basically, can you be socially awkward and be like no, or like ignore them? Then you'll win. You will not be scammed if you are like that.
Accurate.
But if you're too nice, they will see it and they will get you. Everything within the historical district is pretty much walkable to each other. I think the longest distance is like 25 minutes, but near the Colosseum is the Roman Forum and Palatine Hill, all really close to each other. And that's where we're headed right now.
Palatine Hill is one of the 7 hills of ancient Rome and where the imperial palace was. When visiting this site, you get to see the ruins from the 300-acre palace, with parts of it being built as early as 27 BC.
Rome has a Mediterranean climate, so it has mild winters and really hot and humid summers. So let me just list off some of the averages. We have a 32 to 53 Fahrenheit and a 0 to 12 Celsius in the wintertime. And in the summer, it can be 60 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. Today's June 8th, and it's 84 degrees Fahrenheit and 29 degrees Celsius. It's not too humid yet, I think because it's like the end of spring, but it feels pretty hot. Wearing a hat. Wear a hat. That's a hot tip right there. So the best time to visit is in the fall, so September through November, or the spring, April and May, because you have lower tourist crowds, but still really good weather. Also, a hot tip is not to visit Italy in August. Apparently that's when Italians take their vacation, so a lot of the shops and stores will be closed during that time. Also, it's super hot, so like avoid it if you can.
Another great stop is the Roman Forum. This was the center of public life in ancient Rome, where elections, trials, and public speeches were held. After the fall of the Roman Empire, the Forum was neglected, then excavated in the 18th century.
On the search to find the best photo opportunity with the Rome Colosseum. I think up here near the metro stop is the best because you get a really big shot of it. You can get a good picture without people in it, I think. We're gonna try. Get the thumbnail picture for this video, right? It's pretty good.
Our next stop is a 19-minute, 1.6 kilometer or 1 mile walk from the Colosseum. This is the Trevi Fountain. 86 feet or 26 meters tall, this fountain was built on the facade of the palace in 1751, and the water was considered one of the purest you could drink in Rome. Whoever throws a coin in it will return to Rome. 700,000 euros worth of coins is thrown in it every year. Speaking of water, there are free public fountains of delicious and cold water all over Rome, so make sure to bring a reusable water bottle. Right next to the Trevi Fountain at an 8-minute walk is the iconic Pantheon. This was a former Roman temple constructed in the 2nd century by Roman Emperor Hadrian. In 1609, it was converted to a church and is the best preserved ancient Roman monument.
Another thing you have to do in Rome is to have pizza al taglio, which is Roman pizza. It's baked in a rectangular tray, and then they just cut it up, and you pay for how much it weighs. It's crispy, it's delicious. We gotta go in and try some.
Exactly what we needed.
Now here in Rome, they take Visa and MasterCard and of course cash. We've tried to use our American Express, but only at like grocery stores and some really big restaurants do they actually accept American Express. I also recommend always having cash on you because sometimes the like parking machine won't work or their payment machine won't work and they're like, do you have cash? And if you don't have it, it's inconvenient. So make sure you always have cash with you.
Another great stop, and this one is also free, the Spanish Steps. This is a stairway of 135 steps built in the 18th century and took over 2 years to complete. It's also considered the widest stairway in Europe. From the top, you get a great view of the square.
So where to stay? The best place is to stay between the Tiber River and the train station because that's centrally located to all the main attractions in Rome. Although we're staying on the other side of the Tiber River, and only because we are driving, because we're doing a 3-month road trip through Italy. Subscribe to follow along. And we needed a parking space, and this Airbnb had a free parking spot right out front, so that's why. In transportation, they have metro and they have the bus, and I would use Google Maps to be able to navigate like the best route for that. But they also have Uber, where you can actually get a taxi through the Uber app, or you can do Uber Black, Uber XL, which are more expensive options. The taxis are like 15 euros or so each ride, kind of expensive too. Or you can just hail down a taxi as it's driving by. You know, so those are the options for transportation. And right now we're waiting for a cab, for a taxi that I got through the Uber app. So I think it's almost here actually. So with 1 to 2 days, you can see all the attractions I've listed so far in the video. But if you've got 3 days, I recommend coming to visit the smallest country in the world, Vatican City, which is where I am right now. Vatican City is the smallest country in the world at 110 acres or 44 hectares with a population of 1,000 people. The Pope has lived here since 1377.
My number one tip for Vatican City is to get a guided tour. This place can get very busy and crowded, and it's nice to have someone knowledgeable take you around.
It is insane here.
The first thing you do is enter this walled country and go through security. Once through, you arrive at the Vatican Museums, where there's a beautiful outdoor space. Then you head into the museums to see the Vatican's insane collection of Roman artifacts, sculptures, and artworks. Next up is the Sistine Chapel to see Michelangelo's 16th century painted ceiling, which doesn't allow filming, but was epic. The last stop for the day is St. Peter's Basilica, which was seriously magical. You get to see some very impressive 16th century architecture and Michelangelo's first ever sculpture, La Madonna. I hope you enjoyed this first-timer's guide to Rome and found it helpful to plan your next trip. Let me know in the comments which site will be your first stop and what you're looking forward to on your trip. Subscribe for more travel adventures and hit that bell button to be notified about next week's video all about Positano and the Amalfi Coast. I'll see you all next Sunday. Bye.